Now you're ready for all your hip and your ridge caps to go on. The ridge is slightly different to what the hips are, it's just slightly bigger, wider and deeper, that's all. But what you want to do is start the same as you do the glazing bar, just with the corner, and just slot that down like so. What you want to do is get it on the first click, so you can lift it up and down a bit. I'll show you why in a minute. If you do all the hips the same, once you've got all your ridge and your hip caps on the first click and they're on loosely, you want to get your radius end seal. Now this is the bit that stops the 100-mile-an-hour sideways rain that you get once a year. What you want to do, you can see these little indentments there, the rubber goes on those, and then the underneath of the ridge cap goes into there. If it's your first time doing it, just do a dry run first and I'll show you why. So lift your ridge up, slot that under, and just line up the rebate on it with your hips. Now when you slide the hip up, you've got to put the lug halfway down of the ridge cap underneath the rebate with the rubbers on the top. Slot it up like that and then you're ready to knock it down. You can't put the lugs on the top of the rebate because the lugs are wider than that, and if you knock it down it will split the radius end seal. Once you've tried it with a dry run, take it off, and then you want a very thin silicone bead around the outside. Only a small bead because it goes flat down to the glass, and if you put a fat bead on it, it will just splodge out on the glass. When you are fitting the radius end seal and you have got it silicone, just be careful on the glass. Try and get it into place first time because you don't want to be splodging silicone anywhere. If your rubbers are slightly longer and projecting out of the ridge hip cap, just cut them off with some snips. It just will make it easier for putting the hip end cap on and stops it pushing off. So now we're ready to knock down the hip caps. Some people find this a bit scary when they're first doing it because you do have to hit them quite hard. Use a bit of 3x2 just so it's spreading the weight of the impact and you're not going to put any round dints or anything in it while you're hitting it. Now put some pressure on. If you don't put pressure on, it'll want to pop straight out. So keep some decent pressure on and give it a good tap. Every 100 mil or so, give it a tap. You can't start at the bottom, middle and top. You need to go sort of every 100, 150 mil while you're tapping up. Done. Just run your fingers down either side and you can feel it's an even gap all the way down, then you know it's locked on place. Just before you hit your hip top cap down, make sure it's about 5 mil further past than what the thermal break is. In that way you can then slip your hip cap on and it'll be a nice flush fit across the top. You're now ready for your ridge end top cap and your top cap nut. A little bit of silicone again needed on this. Small amount again because it's going very, very tight down, touching the hips, but it's just to stop that driving rain again. Just as you're starting to put this on, if you look down through the hole, just get the nylon threaded bar central so you can get the top cap nut on. As soon as you can start screw it, just flick it into place. There's no silicone needed on this because there's a little lip rebate on it. Don't need to go mad. All done. When you are fitting the hip end caps in place, just put a bit of CT1 either side of the lug. It just stops it when it expands and contracts in summer and winter. It just stops it coming off and you having to go back and stick it on. If they do slip off, it is a bit loose, bit of masking tape over it while the CT1 goes off, and then whip it off afterwards.